I thought my husband was cheating on me. I was wrong. What he was hiding was bigger than an affair. For 2 years, every single morning looked the same. 8:30 a.m. suit, laptop bag, quick kiss on the cheek. I'll be home by 6. He complained about traffic, about impossible deadlines, about a boss who never respected him. It all sounded normal, safe, predictable. Until one random conversation at a grocery store destroyed that illusion. I ran into one of the women he always mentioned from work. I smiled and said, "How's the office treating you guys?" She looked confused. "What office?" I laughed. "You know, downtown, the big move last year?" She stared at me for a second too long. And then she said something that made my stomach drop. "We've been fully remote for 2 years." 2 years. That means my husband hasn't needed to commute. Not once. Not a single morning. So where has he been going every day at 8:30 a.m.? That night, I didn't confront him. I didn't accuse. I didn't even hint that I knew something was wrong. I needed proof. Because if I was about to blow up my marriage, I had to be certain. The next morning, I waited until he left the house. I gave him 5 minutes. Then I grabbed my keys, and I followed him. He didn't drive toward downtown. He didn't head anywhere near the office he'd been complaining about for years. He drove in the opposite direction. 40 minutes. Through neighborhoods we never visit. Past restaurants we've never tried. Into an industrial part of town filled with quiet brick buildings and tinted windows, no corporate towers, no big company logos. He slowed down, turned into a private parking lot, and parked in front of a modern brick building with dark glass and no visible branding, no sign with a company name, no directory outside, just a keypad next to the door. He stepped out of the car confidently. No hesitation, no confusion. He walked straight to the entrance, typed in a code, and went inside. Like he belonged there. Like he'd done it every day for a very long time. I sat in my car, frozen. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. This wasn't an office branch of his old company. This wasn't anything he had ever mentioned. After 5 minutes, I forced myself to move. I got out of the car and walked to the entrance. There was a small metal directory mounted beside the door. Several company names listed in tiny letters: consulting firms, investment groups, private advisory companies. And then I saw it. Under Managing Partners, his full name. I read it twice, then a third time. Managing. Partner. Not employee, not mid-level associate. Partner. For 2 years he told me he was barely surviving at work. Underpaid, stressed, overlooked for promotion. But managing partners don't complain about bosses. They are the bosses. I stepped back from the building like it had burned me. I drove home in complete silence. That night, I didn't scream. I didn't accuse him of cheating. I did something worse. I researched. The company looked polished on the surface. Clean website, corporate language, professional photos. But once I dug deeper, cracks appeared. Former clients complaining about aggressive contracts. Small businesses claiming they were pressured into deals they didn't fully understand. A few lawsuits, most quietly settled. Nothing criminal. But close enough to make my stomach twist. This wasn't some small promotion he forgot to mention. This was an entirely different career. An entirely different level of power. An entirely different life. When he walked through the door that evening, I was sitting at the kitchen table. The printed screenshot of the directory was in front of me. He saw the paper, and his face changed. Not shock, not confusion. Recognition. He knew. He sat down slowly. I asked one question. "Do you want to tell me who you really are?" Silence. Then he exhaled. 2 years ago, he and 2 colleagues left their marketing jobs. They started a private consulting firm. At first, it was risky, uncertain. He didn't tell me because he didn't want to worry me. But the business grew. Fast, bigger contracts, higher stakes, more money than he had ever made before. Within a year, he became managing partner. Profit shares, equity, control. And he kept every detail from me. I asked him why. Why lie about success? Why pretend to struggle? His answer felt rehearsed. I didn't want things to change between us. He said money shifts dynamics. He said he didn't want me to feel inferior. He said he liked that I saw him as normal. But I kept pushing. And eventually the truth slipped out. Some of their deals were aggressive. Legally aggressive. They exploited loopholes. They restructured failing companies in ways that left employees jobless, but investors satisfied. It wasn't illegal. But it wasn't clean either. He said if anything ever went wrong, he didn't want me tied to it. So he separated our worlds, protected me. That's what he called it. Protection. But protection doesn't require lying every single day for 2 years. Protection doesn't require inventing traffic stories, fake deadlines, imaginary bosses. That's not protection. That's control. For 2 years, I believed we were budgeting carefully. Meanwhile, he was taking home distributions I never knew existed. For 2 years, I thought he was stressed about office politics. Meanwhile, he was making decisions that affected dozens of employees. For 2 years, I was married to a version of him that wasn't real. I asked him the question that mattered most. If I never followed you, when would you have told me? He didn't answer, not because he couldn't, but because the truth was obvious. He wouldn't have. That's when something inside me shifted. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even jealousy. It was distance. Because when someone can hide an entire identity from you for 2 years, you start wondering what else they're capable of hiding. We're still technically married. We're in therapy. He says he loves me. He says he was trying to protect our relationship. But trust isn't about protection. It's about inclusion. And he built an empire without ever letting me step inside. Sometimes I replay that morning in my head. The grocery store conversation. The confused look on that coworker's face. If she hadn't corrected me, I would still believe the story he told. I would still picture him stuck in traffic. Still feel bad for his stress. Still think we were equals in every way. Instead, I learned something terrifying. You can share a bed with someone, share a last name, share a life, and still not know who they really are. And that's the part I don't know how to recover from.